Welcome back to another episode of Northwoods Whitetails Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Davis. On this week's episode, I sat down with Timmy Bolduc and Andrea Bolduc. You guys are, I'm sure you're well aware of who they are. Phenomenal people, good people. And I might have convinced Andrea to get on the podcast and her and Timmy tell some stories, a little bit about how she got into hunting and the love and the drive that she's got for it. And I think you guys will really enjoy this short little episode. So without further ado, let's dive right into it.
The good part is, Andrea, you are way prettier than him and I will ever be.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Not today.
You're the prettiest person at this table.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm last.
Well, you guys are all skinny and proteined up. Feeling like a first-year heifer over here.
She's coming around a little bit. Like, she's starting to come around and doing some of the meals, with it. And it's not been bad, right? Like,
I've definitely eaten less carbs because of him. Because I just don't make them at night. Like, he's a mashed potato junkie.
it's like my favorite food ever.
Between
Really?
ice cream and mashed potatoes, he's...
Have you given up the ice cream?
No ice cream. I haven't had
What
actually,
about potatoes?
no potato. I've had no mashed
for
potatoes.
you.
I don't even want to talk about it because I feel like I'm going to go into a withdrawal.
I'm telling you, that was me last night with the chips and the dip in
Dude.
front of me. Cash was killing me.
Yeah, it's the kids. That's the hard part for
It
me.
is.
He loves chips. And
Oh.
last night, Cash was whaling chips at the kitchen table.
Whaling chips. We were sitting on
So loud.
sitting at the table. Oh, and just French onion dip and some Ruffles chips and
So good.
You're like, I think
I
I'm
haven't
going
had
to
a
go mow
chip
the
in-
lawn.
yeah,
Even though I just did.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple nights where I was sitting at finally when you settle down and stuff, and like, man, I really want some. And like, I could feel like, oh my god, I'm freaking out. I need some sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted something sweet, but I made it through it.
I get being on this, I get wicked hungry at times, and I have to eat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like all of a sudden it hits me, and I'm like,
Yeah. I walked in the door like that last night.
yeah.
And she's like, "You hungry?" And I was so disgusted that like my face was like, "Ah, of course I'm. And she's like, I was so instant fight like.
That's funny
But I
you
was
say
so hungry, and you're right about that. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. When that shit comes on, dude, like I need to eat something.
Starving.
Buckle
Yes.
up.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I texted Jamie last night on the way up to Island Pond. I was like, "You got meat in the house?"
Yeah.
It was 4:30. I was like, "I've got to eat by 5. I can feel it coming."
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Gotta
here's the
eat.
thing. You guys are driving past a store on the way home. Feel free to swing in and grab something to hold you over. Just grab a meat stick.
Little beef jerky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the kids, they had his, aunt, I guess, technically, picked them up and took them to McDonald's. I didn't know she was going to take them to McDonald's. So, they had cheeseburgers at 4:30. So, they weren't hungry. I wasn't hungry because I took my sister-in-law out to lunch for her birthday yesterday. So, we were just kind of bebopping around here, and he comes in at 6:15, and I was like, "Oh, I guess I'll make dinner." I was like, "You hungry?" And he's like, looks at me, and I was like, "Well, damn."
And when you're like that, there's a threshold when you're hungry like that. You could be pushed past that line real easy. And when
Yeah.
you get over to the other side, when you're grumpy,
Yeah.
you have to eat, and then half an hour, and they're like, okay, now I feel normal again.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
normal.
in that window, dude, and just her reaction to my face, and all it was I was taking the 5 seconds of processing, are you hungry? And I made a face. I shouldn't have done that. I acknowledge. I'm
friggin'
sorry about
starving.
my
So I made
face.
a mistake, and here we are. Everybody's back to happy.
I paid holy hell for it, but I couldn't control it.
Yeah.
Dude.
Nope. You
I
can't.
didn't have the tolerance to even answer that question.
Yep.
At 6:30 at night, yes, I'm
Yep.
fucking hungry.
Yep.
Somebody give me a ribeye.
Mayday.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When it hits like a ton of bricks.
So
It's
then-
you gotta eat.
Then she hammered out 2 pieces of steak. She's like, because she knew. And I ate them like it. I
All
was so
mad.
pissed off the whole time. Never said one word, just cutting them up. chewing on them like I'm all pissed.
It's like a 2-year-old.
Like a little, oh, what a little brat. And I know when it's happening. Like, I can feel it,
Yes, we do.
but I can't,
Yes, we do.
Yep, can't even help it.
Yep.
But I'm good. Once I eat, though, if you just give me a few minutes, like just 10 minutes, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
all right, I love you. Give me a hug.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Good to see you.
Are you able to eat venison on it?
Oh, yeah,
You are.
I am. Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm allowed to. I've kind of I've morphed this thing into like what works for me.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like I'm still eating salad and salad dressing. And I know there's some sugar and some carbs in salad dressing, but
You're all
so
right.
what?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I need some shit. Like I do. I just need some stuff
Yep.
now and again.
Why, are you straight meat?
Yeah.
Only meat.
Yep.
Meat, eggs,
eggs and cheese.
Yeah. and
Diet of sadness.
and I
Jamie says the same thing.
I respect it.
Yeah, Jamie's like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
You're going to
easy.
be like, it's not an easy diet. Like, yeah.
I think if she started it though, like the amount of energy that I had shortly
Yeah.
after, and I have now, is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
A friend of mine from back where I grew up on the Cape, for the past year, and he's not one to put this out, but just because his results are shocking, a year ago, he decided he was going to make a change because he didn't have any energy with his 3-year-old and he just felt like shit. So he has only eaten for the past year steak, black coffee, salt, and water. That's it. He eats 4 to 5 pounds of beef, like 11 o'clock in the morning. Rinse and repeat. 100 pounds.
Really?
100 pounds in a year.
Wow.
Feels amazing. Went to the doctors. His blood work is impeccable. They're
That's-
like, I don't know what you're doing, but
Keep doing it.
keep on.
That's
It's
cool.
a little extreme. for me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No, I get
It's-
it. It's not meant for everybody.
It's
So
a
meat-
difficult thing to eat just
meat, eggs, and cheese.
to be able
and
to
water.
eat just meat is tough.
And coffee. I have not given up coffee. So coffee and creamer in the morning, I have not given that up.
Yeah.
Well, you have to have something. Mm-hmm. I've got the kids on this kick now because he's talking about saturated fats. So I'm like, every time they eat ice cream, they're like, oh, my saturated fats, this is so good. I'm like, you guys, when Dad comes in the room, say this. Oh, my saturated fats, this is good.
It's not easy though when they're eating it right next to you.
I kick them out of my room.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Go in the other room and eat.
Beat it.
Yeah. It's a tease. We've been eating it all our lives.
Mm.
And to get weaned off of it. It's not
How old are
easy.
you?
42.
You're 42. Good for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No, I was just thinking, like, you look way better than I do, and I'm 46. Like,
Yeah.
you've aged well. Good.
Well, thank
I
you.
would have guessed you
Appreciate
younger.
it. Yeah. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Nice.
Yep.
44, so I got 2 on you. I don't wear it as well. I also have made 2 humans, so I'd like to point that out. It was not easy. Actually, it was. I had easy pregnancies.
How old are the boys?
10 and 7.
10 and 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are thankful. Trust
Holy
me.
smokes, yes.
Yeah.
I always knew I was going to have boys, though. I knew I was going to have 2 boys. My whole life. I always knew that was going to be.
Never wanted a girl?
No, I know how I am. I have 3 brothers, and I am my father's favorite son.
Huh. Way it is.
I'm the
Boys-
only one that hunts. Well, actually, Ben started hunting 4 years ago.
Yeah. Boys just fit us anyways better, like her
Yeah.
and me.
You got 3 brothers, and you're the only one that hunts out of the family. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and one just started. He moved back here, and he started actually when he was in California, but he lives in Rhode Island now, and he's actually right into it. Like Ben loves.
Ben's a hell of a bow hunter.
Yeah, he
That's
loves
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right into it. Loves it.
How old?
Ben?
Yeah.
He's 2 years younger than me, so he's your age, 42.
That's awesome.
Just turned 40. Yeah, just turned 42.
Did he do it at all when he was younger?
Nope.
Nothing.
No. He
Pick
picked
it
it
up.
up. I think he got it. Like, he saw me doing it for so long and then kind of jumped on board.
That's cool.
Yeah, he likes the challenge.
Yeah.
He shot his first buck in the high Sierras at 8,000 feet and stalked this muley. Shot it in velvet.
With a bow.
Little 6-point with a bow. That was his first hunt. Like, but
And-
he's a mountaineering dude. Like, he races downhill mountain bikes. He's like,
Hook, line, and sinker
In
after
it.
that moment.
mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Yeah, loves it. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
he
he's down
does.
on an island. He's got some nice bucks on camera right now, but he's busy. He's got 3 little tiny kids and just trying to find the time, you know.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yep.
It's tough. It's tough to do it all.
Oh yeah. Yep, it is. But
I'm battling with it. I battle with it daily.
Do you?
Yeah, just I'm either creating fires, putting out fires all day long, and trying to stay ahead of 14 guys. It's literally a house a day. Boom, boom, boom.
14?
Boom. Yep.
Wow.
And if I throw, let's say, 8 of them on a house, it's done in a day, and the next one's got to be ready to go. But, you throw in washing them in between, right? Like you've got to have multiple houses ready to go.
Yeah.
Busy.
Yeah, it's busy.
Ripping and running.
Yeah.
And then trying to be a good dad, be a good husband.
Year round.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, the whole Northwoods thing lately has just been a thorn in my side, quite honestly, because I just haven't had time for it. Like Jamie's like calling me yesterday, and I want you to do this, I want you to do that, right? And I'm like, I have 0 time.
Yeah.
I'm on my way north. All I want to do is hang out with you and Cash, and
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Northwoods at all.
Yep.
Need to press the reboot button.
Yeah.
It's tough balance.
It is, and that's the trick to it.
Yeah.
Like I look at I don't know if this analogy is good, but life is like a board of dials, and work, you can crank it to 10, but you might want to be at 7. Being around for your kids, you could be running a 2. You might need to dial that up to a 5. And I just feel like I'm always constantly, hey, I'm working too much and not hanging with the kids. So let's dial that one back and turn this one up a little bit. And it's just getting everything right and finding a balance, because we have to work hard. Like I can't not work hard, but my kids need me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like just trying to find that balance,
There's a balance there, right? When they're playing sports and everything else, right? You want to be there.
Yep. I'm coaching
Are you?
Coaching Jace's football team.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
Signed him up for that.
Way to go, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach
Yep.
Belichick.
Belichick. They call me Belichick because we're the Patriots.
You padding up
No.
with them?
No.
No.
But it's been fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
But as crazy as it is, and I tell her this sometimes, because it becomes overwhelming, right? When you got kids and you're just being pulled in all the directions and the mom and the dad are drifting apart because you're so busy doing what you're doing.
Divide and conquer.
But the thing is like, now that I'm in this, I truly believe this is the best time in our lives. Because when Cash is gone and our boys are gone, think about that. Like I do, I think about that. And when they're gone, as hectic and crazy as it is,
You wouldn't have it any other
I would not have it any other way. Because when they're gone, dude, and they're doing their own thing, we're going to be just sitting here looking at each other. And there's going to be some fun, right? It's going to be, but you know what I mean? Like, it's busy and crazy, but this is the best time in our lives. Raising your children is the best time.
Yep.
And it's hard, and it's crazy, and you don't have any time for yourself, but it's the best time.
It is what it is, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the lifestyle we want to live.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think most of us, we work too hard,
Right.
and we should be, should keep that dial on 10 with the kids.
Yep.
And everything else should revolve around it.
Yep. But it's
It's
not
tough.
reality, though, right?
No, it's
You
tough.
can't.
Yeah.
You have to work.
Yep.
We all have to.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what I've struggled the most with is just trying to get good at keeping those dials where they need to be, And I don't always get it right, that's for sure, but
That's why we go up north, though. Like when we're in Vermont, and we try to keep it just the 4 of us, because it's a blast like that. Like having you come over and visit, or Dave Jacobs came in, and his dad Mo was over, and that's really fun for us because that's like at night we all curl up on the couch together, and there's no
Press a pause button on the world.
Yeah.
On life.
my phone, like I don't even look at it the whole time
Yeah.
I'm there.
That's
Yeah.
great.
You know what I mean? Just unplug.
Yep.
There was a day you came over, and I think she told you that, but I was out there mowing that little bit, and Cade and his little friend were running through the field with nets trying to catch a
Butterflies.
butterfly, and Jace was riding the 4-wheeler through with the other kid, and I was making a pass, and I just looked around me. She's out weed whacking around a rock, and we were just all out there, and I just looked at it, and I was like, this is as good as it gets right here. As good as it gets.
Yep.
There's no stress. I got my boys and my family right here with me, and this is just as good as it gets.
That's
It
pretty
really
cool.
was. So try to embrace those moments, because seems
Yeah.
like they're far and few between
No,
when
they-
you're busy like this, So.
Definitely are. Life can take over in a hurry.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and it does.
Yep. You've been busy at Woodman Arms, huh?
Yeah, crazy busy. Last probably month or so, because I shoot horses too, but you know, I can't get to a barn, and like 8 o'clock is probably the earliest you'd want to get to a barn because the horses haven't eaten, and you don't want to shoot a horse that hasn't had breakfast. But I've been going at like 5 in the morning. Yeah, 5. Go to the shop, work for 3 hours, come home, grab my trailer, go shoot some horses. Like I was at the shop at 5 o'clock this morning, worked till 7:30, came, went and did those horses. As soon as we're done here, I'll go back to the shop, work till 6 at night. You know, just...
You got to line all these clients up as well, or do you just have a rotation? They know.
Yeah, so when I go into like the horses I did today, I go in my book 6 weeks later and write them in there. So I always just know where I'm going. So it's repetitive. You just do them every 6 weeks.
Yep.
So that part's kind of easy, but every minute in between in daylight, I'm at the shop, you know. And if I'm shoeing, then I'm on the phone while I'm doing that, handling all that. 2 days ago, because Woodman Arms, like I've been there from the beginning, so it's kind of cool because you get to, I have a good perspective because I knew what it used to be. So I'm very in tune with everything, and I can feel when things are growing and doing, you know what I mean? Like I can see the orders coming in, but also the phone calls. Like, you know, back in the beginning, you get 1, 2 a day, right? And that was like, wow, we're getting calls. And people just want to like, hey, heard about your gun and got some questions about it, right? 2 or 3 of those a day. You were like, man, things are going really good. 2 days ago, I took 19 phone calls. I talked to 19 different people.
Wow.
Yeah, 19 calls in one day. And I was like, man, I've been telling her, like, I can just feel this monster. It's getting bigger. I can just feel it. You can, like I said, I'm in enough that I know when it's like that's happening. And I've been telling her, like, dude, Woodman Arms is growing. Like, it's growing. And then, like I said the other day, 19 phone calls. And I worked like 12 hours that day, but I had earbuds and I was shoeing horses. Like I'm under a horse nailing a shoe on, talking about a 45 cal.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. But it's a lot, but
yeah, it's tough.
I love it though. I freaking love it. I love to talk to the people most. There's a few that I don't, but I like most of them and I just enjoy it. I really like doing it.
That's good.
And I think a lot of it's, you know, like I'm passionate about the company. I'm passionate about the gun, right? And when you're passionate about your product, like that's always easier. It's easier to do that job when you know what I mean?
A lot more drive.
Of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
How many guns do you guys think you've produced since the beginning?
I don't know. I'm going to take a stab at it, but 5,000 or 6,000.
It's pretty impressive.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere in there. Yeah, I'd say somewhere around there.
Every one of those you guys have personally
hand-built.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hand-built.
Yep. Every single one of them was either put together and made by me or Mark. Yep. Yep. And then we make all the parts too.
Yeah.
So we make like everything for the gun. The only thing we outsource is the finish on the gun. So that black nitride finish and the anodize. Other than that, we make every single part on that gun.
He could do the anodize if you wanted
Probably, but the problem with that is like there's like hazmat and all the stuff with the tanks to do, you know what I mean? So Mark's like, yeah.
I'm sure there's all kinds of stipulations for it.
But the problem is through the course of this business, we realize we have to make everything because you can't rely on anybody else.
Because in the beginning, you had somebody doing some
stocks.
Yeah, different
wood.
stuff, and it just
a guy
was
in
clashing.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was, you know, I'm getting everybody breathing down my neck because, like, hey, we're at the end of what you said it would be ready, and that guy wasn't getting our product to us timely enough, which is, I get it, I understand it. But then what had happened with that particular situation was, all right, so been waiting for 8 weeks longer than we were supposed to for all this wood. It showed up. And it was green. All the wood was green. So we bolted it on guns and sent them out. And it's like a piece of firewood, right? Yep. Everything started twisting and while it was drying.
Laminate blowing off of it.
Yeah. And when that shit happens, it's like building cars and putting in one part that you have to recall. That's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's happened to us a couple times, but when that shit goes down, like, you really got to do everything you can to avoid that stuff. And see, like, that's some of why, like, this summer's been an odd summer. Like, with you guys, you know, doing your gun and us trying to get caught up. Well, you know, we're flopping over to a new product. Well, guess what? I could build this and just give it to you, but I've got to go make sure that everything is right on this thing, and that takes time. Like, you got to go shoot it a bunch. You know what I mean? You can't just go touch it off and like, yeah, it banged, so okay, good to go.
Yep, send
right?
it out the door.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get everything right on that, and that it stinks. And I never realized how much time that takes, but it does. It just takes time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The good part is I've gotten really good at when I get to talk to people, I just explain it out to them and just let them know, like, this is what it's going to be. If it's a problem, honestly, I just wouldn't even order it. And they're like, no, Timmy. I love that I'm able to talk to you guys, and you guys have been great, and thanks so much. No problem. I'll wait. When you call me, fantastic. You see what I mean? But if you don't do that and set yourself up right, that's when everybody feels like they have the right to call you up and be like, well, it's been, 20 weeks and half of a minute, just checking, where's my gun,
Mm-hmm.
But when I get them before that, most of the time I can get those people who are like, yeah, no problem at all, dude. I'm just pumped to get it. So whenever it's ready, it's ready. I'm good.
I think that's the way that most people are. You get the occasional.
And you know what? And the truth about that is, one, it's honesty.
Yeah.
That's straight up honest.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
people love that.
Yeah.
People want to just shoot them straight.
Yep.
Just shoot them straight, and they'll probably accept it and be like, all right, it's good.
Yep.
And they do.
Yep.
They just don't lie to them.
Yeah.
Don't tell them that it's not
you
going
can't
to.
sugarcoat it.
Yep. Nope.
That's just going to lead to a problem, especially if there's no deliverable.
Yep. Exactly.
How many shots do you think you've shot out of a woodman arm?
Oh, I bet you I'm north of 1,000.
Whoa.
Probably by now. If I'm not, I'm pretty close to it, but I've shot them a lot. A lot. Yep.
What's
lot.
the furthest range that you're shooting?
My 40 cal I shot, and it's only because that's what I have available. There's a farm just a mile out through the woods that way. She lets me shoot there, and it was 350 yards. And I shot there with my 40 cal. But I had a guy the other day that just ended up with one of our 40 cals. He lives in New York, and he's a member of a range. And he was telling me the 40 cal he bought, he was shooting at a gong, a metal plate. He was hitting it at 700 yards with that 40 cal.
Wow.
He was like, man, I was wicked impressed. I'm like, yeah, I'm impressed. Like, that's pretty good.
Impressive.
700 yards? Those 40 cals are unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Huh.
They're just like single shot rifles, dude. It's like nuts. But the problem is, there's a lot of states it's minimum of 44, 45 cal, whatever it is. So there's a lot of states you can't use it. But boy, if you can, what an animal that thing is.
Way to go.
Oh, yeah.
That'll cater to the Midwest.
It's just
long
crazy.
range.
You set one of those up with a full bore bullet. I mean, my 40 cal with what I'm shooting, I'm like little over 2,800 feet per second at the muzzle. I mean, that bullet is ripping. Wow. She was there with me one day. We were shooting her gun, and like I shot her gun at 250, and that's just a standard Patriot. That was a 24-inch button rifled standard Patriot. We shot that at 250, and she was just standing there while I was shooting it. And you hear the bang, and that's far enough away that then you can hear it hit. And then I shot my 40 cal, and she's like, oh my God. Like, she's like, the second that thing went off, like, she had already saw it hit the target. It was just so fast,
Then you heard it.
Yeah. But then what's nice about that is because it is so screaming fast that from zero all the way, like, there's so little thinking you have to do. Like, just hold it on. It's like so fast that it just hold it on.
Flat.
Oh, flat and fast.
That's cool.
Crazy. But
That's cool. You got a buck story for me?
A buck story?
Yeah, you got a buck story. Come on, tell me a buck story.
Probably got a couple buck stories.
Yeah, lay them on me.
Probably the one I'm most proud of, my swamp buck. So it was November 4th, and, I'm a mom, so I'm usually here when the kids get off the bus. And it was like the perfect evening, and he had come home from work. He just happened to blow through right about the time that one of us would head to the stand, wherever we were going to hunt. And we'd had some cameras out and gotten a couple good bucks on camera. And he's like, you want to hunt tonight? I'm like, no, it's all right. You can go. I'll wait for the kids. He's like, you should go hunt tonight. I'm like, well, it is November 4th. It's my lucky number. Like, let me talk myself into it. Okay, I'll go. And so I did. I didn't even get in a stand. I brought the just the seat for my climber. And I was like, I'm just going to pick a tree wherever feels good. I'm just going to grab a seat. It was muzzleloader season. And so I did. I walked out there and I took a seat, and it was quiet. It was wind still. I hung around for a while, and it started getting dark, and I'm like, there's not a whole lot going on. Kids are at home. Maybe I'll just go home and have dinner with them. And then I told myself, I'm like, no, like, you're here, just sit. So I did. And then right before dark, through the leaves, and I'm like, take a look around. Sat back, and I hear it again. And it sounds like there's 2 of them. And then this doe pops up, and she's probably about 50 yards away. And so I just sat real quiet, because she's over this way, and I'm facing this way. So I just sat and just waited, just because I didn't know what was behind her. There was something else with her. So anyways, and I didn't want her to blow it for me. So she kind of moved on. And up over this knob, this buck comes up over this knob, and he's got his head down. And man, what a buck. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm very good under pressure, and I know I can shoot. So I was like, well, I just have to let it all play out. And he turned broadside. And I just, in the moment, like sometimes you don't even know how you make it happen, but you just do it. So I swung up on him and I shot him. And when the smoke cleared, I could see a white belly up in the air, and he flipped over backwards at 40 yards, 45 yards. And it was quiet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. So I was sure that I dumped him, because he flipped over backwards. I mean, I haven't had too many flip over backwards that weren't dead. So I was so excited. I called Timmy, and I got him on the phone. And I'm like, babe, I just shot the biggest buck I've ever seen. And he's like, what? And I said, wait a minute. He's getting up. So it was like a mad scramble. Like, what an idiot. So I reload my muzzleloader as fast as I can, and he's obviously there. He's hurt. And I put another one in him, and it ended up dumping him. But it was when he went down, what I know now is he rolled 3 times down the backside of this knob. But when I heard that commotion, I'm like, well, I'm out of here, because where I shot him, if you push a deer from there, good luck.
Yeah.
It's thick. So I ended up coming out of there. I came home. It was the longest hour I've ever waited. And then we went back in, and he's awesome.
Yeah, it was a nice deer.
He's awesome.
He was right there.
He was right there. Beautiful 8-pointer. I have him on camera 4 days prior, standing in the rain, just listening. So I have this awesome video of him just standing there listening to everything.
That's cool.
And he ended up being, I'm sure he wasn't the number 1 muzzleloader buck in the state in 2019, but I had him scored, and he was. So I have the plaque on the wall. And
oh, really?
Yeah, he's
no
awesome.
kidding. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool, because I didn't even know I didn't know that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
And what magazine did you have where you saw it?
I think it was the New Hampshire Record Book. They print that every, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is. And I think it was in there.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw it somewhere. It might have been there.
Yeah, so he hands me the magazine. He's like, check that out. I was like, what?
Very cool.
Yeah, so that was really cool, especially with having little kids at home and still getting it done. So
Yeah,
Jamie knows all about that.
Yeah, I think it's, I can relate, right?
Yeah.
I got the kids tonight. You go hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's a balance.
Yep.
That balance that we talk about.
Yep.
Yeah.
How'd you get into hunting?
My uncle, so my dad has 2 brothers. My uncle in Connecticut bow hunts quite a bit. And I've always just enjoyed it. I've always been in the woods. I just enjoy the woods. I lived in Southwest Louisiana for a long time. I went to college down there. I ran a commercial cattle ranch down there, trained roping horses, and I would fly home every November to hunt up here. And just not knocking Texas, but once you hunt whitetails in the north, to shoot a whitetail in Texas, in my opinion, it's like a golden retriever with horns. Yeah. So I like to hunt the bigger bodied deer. I like the challenge in the mountains. And then I just, I grew up with Dave Jacobs and Mo, and my camp's right by them. And so we hunted with them quite a bit. And I just always loved it. I love that challenge of being in the mountains. I do.
That's
I love
cool.
the mountains. I grew up on Cape Cod, and I don't gravitate to the ocean at all. If we go anywhere, we're headed north.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just something I enjoy doing. Always have.
Your dad took you out, uncles?
My dad, so my grandfather was into bird hunting. So my dad had bird dogs and stuff, and we always shot guns. Like when we were kids, we had our 22 set up, and we'd plink cans up at camp and do all that. But no, it really just came from me.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it. I love that challenge, and I enjoy carrying a gun with me.
Yeah.
So
Being surrounded around those other people as well, growing up.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's nothing like. So listening to Dave's podcast last week, man, I listened to the whole thing and I had the biggest smile on my face because, like, being at Fat Mountain, like in the heart of the season, and having all those guys at camp, and you've got Dan cooking, and you got Dave telling his endless stories, and it's great times with good people, and yeah. Honestly, bringing home an animal at the end of the day is just icing on the cake when you're in a camp like that. Yeah. But we've been fortunate enough to get around to do some hunting in a lot of different places like you guys have. We went to Alberta in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I got to watch him shoot this giant whitetail like 100 yards away from me. It was like watching on the Outdoor Channel. It was amazing.
Really? You guys are sitting together?
Yeah, he was 100 yards down a field. We were in heater bodysuits, freezing our butts off. Last day of the hunt. Yep. It was incredible. It was so cool.
That's
so cool.
I never got to weigh that buck, but that is definitely the biggest buck I've ever killed weight-wise.
Yeah.
If I've ever shot a 300-pounder, that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was funny after we got him, because I'd seen a bunch of deer, but I'd never stood over one of those ones. And he was just an exceptional one. She actually saw him, sometime during that week. She had a video
pictures
of him.
Of him. I got back to camp one night. I showed him it, and he's like, "You need your head examined." But I could see what was coming through that.
He was so much bigger. He was just so much bigger than all the other deer. I mean, I'll show you the picture after, just a giant bodied deer. But she was seeing other bucks there that, she missed one that was 180 inch. Ooh. I mean, what a beautiful deer, dude. She shot right over his back and missed him. Oh. But the one that I ended up getting, body-wise, dude, man, was he huge. And she showed me the picture, and I was like, oh, my gosh. You can tell just the second you look at it, you're like, oh, my word, what a monster. And that's the one I ended up getting him. And we never did get a chance to weigh him, but when I shot him, right there, he was done immediately. And we were in probably, that much snow? And I grabbed a hold of him to, drag him up to where, because we were kind of down a slope, and I wanted to get him to the top because it's snow, and I didn't want the truck driving down there. I've dragged a lot of deer, and I'll tell you, I couldn't have dragged that deer from me to Brooke. It was just so heavy, and it was on snow too, and I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. Why can't I move this thing? It's just crazy, but that buck had to have been. I wouldn't be surprised if that buck was 315 pounds dressed.
It probably was.
It probably was. I don't know. It was the biggest deer I've ever seen.
They shoot him up there. It probably was.
Crazy.
Just an
crazy,
old buck,
crazy.
big old buck.
Yeah, just big old buck. But
Too bad you didn't have a scale.
Oh, I would have given a finger to know what that buck weighed.
Yep.
I said, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it was 320.
That's
I mean, it was just huge. Huge. But
yeah, awesome experience. It was negative 24. We were just freezing. And like I said, it was the last day of the hunt.
That particular night, it was so cold. We were sitting there, like I said, wearing heated bodysuits in chairs, just like these, sitting on the edge of this field, watching this field. It was so cold that when you blink, because, the wind's whipping and it's, just crazy cold. So your eyes water a little bit, right? There were times where you get inside your heated bodysuit just to, survive the next 5 minutes. And every now and again, you'd peek out and, face the element, just your face, you know what I mean? But you got all the stuff on. But my eyelashes would freeze together when I blinked. It was so cold, you just blink your eyes. And then you'd have to reach up and, peel them apart because they froze together. I've never felt anything like it, but luckily we were prepared. We would have died without those heater bodysuits. There's no way.
There's no way you would sit out there. And of course, we weren't with an outfitter, but we were. It's a friend of ours, and we were pretty adamant not to sit in blinds. Like we hunt in the elements here, and we were going to do it there, so we did. We sat in chairs and froze. So it was so cold that luckily we could text each other, and we decided like one of us would tuck in and the other one watch the field, and we'd just, take turns. It was freezing.
Yeah.
If you took your hands out of your gloves, you had 15, 30 seconds, and your fingers are like slowing down.
Have you ever felt that kind of cold?
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's brutal, yeah.
I've never felt anything like that. It's, I mean, literally, like if you weren't prepared, you literally have minutes
before you froze to death.
It's just unbelievable. I don't know what the temp was, but I've never felt anything like that. Like I said, when you're blinking and your eyelashes glue together are iced up, like that's cold.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you guys just go that one year?
Yep.
We did. Yeah, I shot a nice muley.
We went to Ontario together, though. She came up there.
Yeah, our first season together, 2011, we went
Yep.
to Ontario.
We just started
I shot
dating.
an 8-pointer
And
there.
she shot a nice buck, yep.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it up there?
Oh, it's awesome. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, really, really, really cool spot. And, it's changed over the years for various reasons. I think it gets flooded a lot with, hunters from the Northeast that go that way. It's not that far.
It doesn't take long for the Northeast to figure it out.
No.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
But then the wolf population, too, just booming.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we came back I went back to the truck because I had tagged out and he wanted to go check another place, and I'd walk back to the truck. His grandfather was dying at that point, so it was we want to hunt, but his heart was back at home. So it was actually, we left the next morning. We drove 33 hours home, and we made it in time.
We made it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I
We saw
remember
him.
sitting on the floor next to him, showing him pictures of my buck. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I remember he went up halfway, I think, just to clear his mind, but also still hunting. And I went back to the truck, and man, the wolf tracks around that truck, I was like, get me in. But yeah, so it's.
Yeah, when they howled, have you ever heard them howl in the middle of the day? Oh,
He shot one.
I had one time.
That,
It was the first buck I ever shot up there. Me and my buddy George, we killed it. It was a day like this, just a bluebird day. We shot that buck in the afternoon. It took me, I dragged him for 6 hours. And my buddy that was with me weighs like 125 pounds fully dressed. You know what I mean? The buck ended up weighing just over 200, bare ground. And it was probably, I'm going to say 3 miles, something like that. We had no sled, no nothing, just dragging it on bare ground. But anyways, we shot that buck, started dragging it, and we had a wolf behind us howling for probably a mile and a half of that drag. And luckily for me, the only reason we actually haven't, because I dragged him for 6 hours, but drag a 210-pound buck for 6 hours on bare ground by yourself. 6 hours, you're done, right?
Oh,
And
it's
it had
gonna be
gotten
an
dark.
ass-kicker.
It had gotten dark, and I knew I had to leave him. Like, I was within 300 yards of my truck, but I just couldn't do it. I was done. But the spot that I was in, I went right between these two lakes, and it was a beaver dam, actually, how you got across between the two lakes. And when I dragged down, that wolf followed us for hours, just howling, which is odd. Like, it's one thing to, like, a wolf following you and being quiet, which you'd think they'd do. This wolf would howl. Like, I don't know if he was trying to call other ones in or something. I don't know what he was doing, but he was howling behind us. And anyways, when I came down between those two lakes, I took my buck and I kicked him right out in the water. And I went right on the edge, and I broke the scent trail. And I went around the lake with him floating in the water, and I dragged him probably 400 or 500 yards around the shore of the lake just to get the scent trail gone. I got 400 yards down there, and I dragged him out and then covered him with brush, and nothing ever touched it. I had to go back the next morning. We went back and finished and got him, but like I said, I had to break the scent trail because that wolf was following us out. Like, he was going to, take that thing. So
it's a pretty wild story.
yeah, but that's how I did it. I kicked him in the water and floated him for a while.
It's a pretty eerie sound to hear those things live.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah. How'd you shoot your buck up there?
Bare ground. It
Yep.
was loud. Oh, it's like so loud. So crunchy that morning. We'd been up in this one piece. We'd hunted there, was it the day before, 2 days before that? We'd been in there, and there was a ton of buckside, man. One of the tops up high, there's how many scrapes were
Pile.
rubs were there?
Pile of them.
this buck had it torn up in there. And that's not the buck that I shot, but that's big woods up there, you know. So the next morning it was really loud walking in, and we came in and decided we were just going to take a seat for a second. So we did. And no, I take that back. We saw that buck. Wasn't that the buck that we saw the day before?
Yeah.
That's what it was. We'd come up.
He came walking right down by me. He walked by me at like 15 yards. Just walked right by. Looked right over at me like that right there. Put his head right back down and kept walking.
And we were a little bit separated apart in the woods. And you know how it is.
Andrea. And she was just on this side, and she couldn't get a crack at him.
I never saw him until he spun and ran.
Huh.
It was just the way the trees were stacked. You know how it is in the woods. Like,
Move 6 inches, you can't see 6 feet.
Right, right. So anyways, that buck took off, and we hunted the rest of that day and went back in the morning, and it was so loud that we decided we were just going to take a seat. So we did.
And I knew that place really well. So my buddy George, the kid that doesn't weigh much that was with me that day, he shot a buck. It's kind of neat, actually. Me and him, I was sitting with him. He shot a buck. I was sitting right next to him, just like this right here. And he shot a buck in that exact same spot. And then I took her there. We saw that buck, so I knew he was in there. We sat in the exact same spot, and I sat right next to her and watched her shoot her buck. Right in
this buck comes down off this straw, and he comes back up, and I wailed him. He mule kicked and took off.
She hammered him.
This one, typical Timmy, he's like, "You stay here." So I sat there, and he walks out, check for blood, right? He gets over by it, right where I drilled him. I mean, I hammered him. And this one goes, "There's no blood." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I go over, and there's just he's spraying blood. Yeah, so took one out of there that year.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had some fun adventures, though, in the woods. That's what brought us together. I moved back home from Louisiana. I went through a couple hurricanes down there, and I decided the Northeast was where I was going to go back to. So I shipped my horses north and moved back home. And when I got here, my mom said, "Well, I think you're really going to like our horseshoer." I'm like...
And her mom had told me about her. So I knew her mom and dad for like a year before I ever met her. But 8 months in, one day I'm over there doing her mom's horse, and her mom's like, "You know, you'd really like my daughter." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah?" And she's like, "Yeah, you know, she goes deer hunting every year." And I remember like thinking to myself, if that girl is pretty at all, I like her. Like I knew, you know what I mean? It was something about that like just, I was like, wait a minute. And her mom's beautiful, like a real pretty lady. And I was like, she's got to be pretty. I don't know. She has to be pretty. And anyways, it was like a time went by. Like it was a while, like 6 months or something like that. And then I got a random call from her one day. I didn't know it, but she had moved back home and brought her horses. So, hey, I need my horses trimmed. And I'm like, it's like I finally get to meet this girl.
No kidding.
Yeah. And she came walking out the door, and I was like, oh, man. That was it. That's it. Yeah, that was it. But I knew I liked her before I even met her, just because and it was when her mom said, yeah, she flies home every year and goes deer hunting in Vermont. And I was like, oh, my God. God just made a chick for me, because that has to be her. And it was. Couldn't believe it.
That's pretty cool. How long have you guys been together?
Been married
89 years or something.
It feels like 4,000 years. We've been together 13 years, 14 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom said, you're going to like our horseshoer. He's a deer hunter. And I was like, I had a boyfriend at the time.
And I had a girlfriend.
Yeah, it was like recipe for disaster. But he pulled in and stepped out of his truck, and I married him 3 years later. So
yep,
that's it. But yeah, we really bonded over hunting.
Yeah, it was literally what brought us together.
Yeah, it was like
that was the start.
Obsession with whitetails.
The first time we ever hung out was a ride to the taxidermist.
Really?
Yep, that was our first date.
And then I whipped your butt Brookie fishing.
Yep.
Yep.
I never told you, but I let you whip my butt.
I know you did. You don't have to tell me. Yep. So.
Yeah, that was the first time we ever hung out. Was a ride to the taxidermist.
Yep. I've got endless funny stories of Timmy in the woods. My favorite thing is when he wipes out and falls down. It's so great.
Yep.
But yeah, no, we've had some good adventures.
Is your wife and kid like that? Like when you trip and fall and like have a bad moment, they like it's the funniest thing ever. Do they love it? Does your wife?
Yeah,
love?
my kid loves it.
Your wife doesn't though.
No, she doesn't. No, she's she'll generally ask if I'm okay. Maybe deep down inside she's
Yeah.
laughing her ass off, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
All three of
I get
these.
such a good laugh out
Yeah.
of it.
Love it. Yeah, if I wipe out,
Yeah, you're done.
It's great.
yeah.
It's a pretty good laugh for me.
Oh yeah.
So any problems getting the kids into hunting at all? How did you guys transform that? I mean, you guys love it so much.
Can I take that one? Or do you want it?
Go ahead.
So when we had our boys, after time as they're growing, right? So they were infants and then one, and and I'm who I am, and obviously as a dad, right? You want them to hunt. I'm sure you want your son to hunt. I definitely had a plan, and what I decided to do was I never pushed it on them at all. I just went and did my thing, and if they were like, hey, can I come with you? Yep, no problem. But I never, ever pushed them. And I was like, I'm going to sit and just do my thing, and you're dad to them. To them, you're God, right? And they're just watching what you're doing, and they just want to do what you're doing because you're dad. And I was like, I'm going to let them come to me, and that's what we did. I never, ever made Jace, never asked him to, anything. And then finally when Jace turned, it was last year, he turned 9 years old. And Jace is like, Dad, I really would like to shoot my first deer. And once he did that, I was like, all right, let's do it. And then we have been doing it together ever since, and he loves it, absolutely loved it. But I never pushed it on him. Mm-hmm. I wanted him to come to me and want it. And there was a couple reasons for that. I think it's a good way. I think it can be overbearing for a kid when you push onto them, right? But also, like for a little kid, I look at when you're taking life of an animal, you should at least understand it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people, like I watch a lot of people that have young kids, and I feel like it's almost like they want the post. And they got these little 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old kids out there shooting deer. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not judging on it. But for me, a 5-year-old doesn't even understand that it's taking the life of an animal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we should respect
the life.
You should respect that. Like, it's not just killing. It's not that that's just nothing, because that's something. And it's a heavy thing to take life. Yep. And when you're bringing a child in, they need to understand what they're doing. It's not the gravity of it. Yep. It's okay to do it, but you're going to understand it. Yep. And I was really adamant about that. I was like, because it's not just in nothing. Like, you better understand it. And Jace, maybe it took him till 10, and it was 10 years old, and he understood it. He got it, and then he was like, Dad does it, and it's awesome, and now I want to do it. Okay, let's go. And he got his first deer.
Got his first deer last
First year.
And I got to tell you, that 62-pound button buck is hands down my favorite deer in that room.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, what a moment.
And to him, it's bigger than any that Dad's ever shot.
It's at the taxidermist right now. He has a spot in our room where it's hanging right next to all of ours.
Yep.
That's great.
It's been great.
That's
but
awesome.
I think that going into getting a little one started, to me, that approach made sense versus me being overbearing on them and have them be like, get out of my face with it. It's too, you know what I mean? You could shut a kid down real easy.
Oh, yeah, push them away.
Yeah.
But we've always taken them with us, like shed hunting, hanging stands, moving cameras.
Jace loves to be in the woods. Like, he'll literally ask me on a weekend, Dad, can we go in the swamp and go cut a trail, or can we go, you know what I mean? Like, he wants to be in the woods. He loves
does
it.
too, but Cade's 7, so he's got to.
Yeah, one bug flies by Cade, and he's like, "Can we go home?"
He'll come out of that.
Oh yeah,
he'll come out of that. You start seeing his brother shoot more and more deer. He'll want.
Oh, he was ready to get in the stand. Right after the day after Jay shot his deer, but he wanted to be trigger man because I told him, I said, "You can come sit with me."
And that was the other thing too I did with Jay. So when he decided that, Dad, I want to shoot my first deer, me and him shot together. Probably at least 3 weekends a month for almost an entire year. We'd go over and shoot. I made him a little Woodman Arms with a little short stock, a youth model, and we shot for almost an entire year before I ever took him and let him be like, okay,
he was ready.
Yep. But that's important too. Like, I'm not just going to take you if you know, like, you got to learn. It's like bow hunting. You're not going to go bow hunt if you haven't shot your bow and gotten good with it, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't anyways.
No, you shouldn't. There's a lot of people that do it the other way around. But.
Oh, yeah.
But it was good because it made Jace put X amount of work in, and, you know, like, he had to earn the right to go do what happened that day, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's good.
That's the best way to do it.
Yep.
That is the best way to do it.
So I would definitely give that advice. Let your kids come to you. Let them come to you. Because they're watching you. Like
That's
I said,
great
they're
advice.
watching everything you do. You could pick up playing a guitar, and they're going to be like, Dad, I want to play guitar at some point. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you're doing. They just want to do what. They just want to be with you.
They're going to do what Dad does.
That's it.
Yep.
That's
They're
it.
gonna do what Dad does. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, that's how I did it anyways. And
Yep.
it worked. It definitely worked.
That's
And
good.
I think we have a lot of good years to come with,
I cannot wait.
yeah.
Oh, the best are coming.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Yep.
Can't wait for those days where you get that phone call. Cade shot one. We're dragging it out right now.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's gonna be the good days.
Oh,
we
it's-
turn all 3 of the boys loose.
It's coming.
Cash shot one. Jace is helping him. I've got the truck. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's coming. That
Yeah.
it is. That
Yep.
it is. Do you like to bow hunt?
I do like to bow hunt.
Yeah.
I have never shot a deer with my bow.
Yep.
Because I know how quickly things can go wrong. There's so many factors, you know, deflection and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very strict with myself. It's a 30-yard or better.
Yeah.
I'm not shooting anything outside of that. So I've seen deer, but I've never taken one with a bow. But I do enjoy sitting in the tree and
Maybe this year.
could be. Totally
Coming
could be.
right up.
Could be.
Maybe this is the year.
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning it
Yeah.
starts, yeah.
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 Yep.
I hope you shoot a wall hanger.
Oh, me too.
That'd be good.
Me too. It was a little last year was a little different for me. I don't get to track as much. I'm a mama before I'm anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I honestly, this is gonna sound cheesy, but watching him shoot those big bucks does it for me. You know, right now while I'm in this season of my life where I'm home with the kids, and like that 10-pointer you shot last year. I know when my phone rings at 9:30 on a tracking morning that chances are he's probably got one on the ground. And he called me up and he's chattering away and all excited. And I was like, I'm getting in the truck. I'll come help you drag. He goes, it's downhill. I'm on snow. I'm good. But like, yeah, I'm all in. If I got to
Well-
drive 4 hours north and drag a buck out with him, I'll do it. But I love watching him
He can't do
bring
it.
him home.
He can't do it without you.
No, no way.
We can't do what
No.
we love without
Yep.
women like you.
Yep.
Right? We can't. Moms like you can't do it.
Mhm.
It's very important that you understand his passion. That's what makes him tick the other
Yeah.
11 months out of the year, right? That's what makes it tick.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
love it. Like I'd love to go and I do. It's usually once a season. There's usually one good snow day a season where the two of us get to hunt together, like the old days.
Yeah.
And it's always a blast. Man, we laugh.
Have fun. That's what it's about.
Oh, we
Yeah.
have such a good time.
That's what it's about.
He always carries a Snickers bar in his jacket, and we'll be on a track, and without a doubt, like when I get tired, like my feet get loud, and I know when I'm getting loud because he just stops and he reaches in his jacket and he pulls out this candy bar and he just hands it to me behind it, and then we wait a minute and I eat it and then I keep going. But yeah, we got a lot of good adventures. There's
Yeah.
a couple mountains I think named after me. Drama Mountain is one of them. Yeah,
Yeah, Drama Mountain. Yep.
Drama Mountain. That's a pretty good one. I missed a beautiful buck that day.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice buck.
pretty sure I shoved you on the ground to shoot him because you were in front of me. But yeah, we've had some pretty fun times for
That's
sure.
cool.
And it's only going to get better when you add the kids into it.
Yeah.
Actually, they're just going to want to hunt with you, and then it's going to be back to me being by myself. But
It's coming.
no,
It
it's
is coming.
It's a good thing. It's a good way to raise a family, and they know where their food comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So.
there's no better way to raise a kid than being outside.
Yeah, it's fun watching them in the woods. They see tracks. They know the sign. So yeah, it's been fun. It's just going to get better.
Yep, that it is.
Yeah,
We've
Well,
done.
you got to get on your conference call. Yeah.
I got to go do some.
You got to do some work.
Yeah, here in a minute.
Well, thank you for jumping on.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was fun.
Yeah.
You're right. It does get easier as you ease into it. But
It is. It's just telling
see, the problem
backstories
with
and-
me is I don't have a very good filter. So
He can edit anything.
sometimes you never know what's going to come flying out of my
Yeah.
mouth.
You and Jamie have a lot in common. I
Yeah,
can
they
tell you
do.
that.
Oh, yeah.
She and I still have a date in Vermont. You know that creek in front of the property?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a wine night date down in there because it's just shallow enough that we're going to put our chairs down in the water because your butt doesn't get wet, but it's nice and cool.
You guys better do that pretty soon. She's going to start snowing.
It might have to be next summer.
Yeah, we might do next summer.
That water's already pretty cold. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah.
No one can save you. You better run.